on BeeKonnected. So just FYI. So sorry,
Perfect.
Renee. I do this all the time. I interrupt myself and my ADD kicks in and I start thinking about 15 other things that I wanted to do. So I apologize. So anyway, gave you a little bit of time to think, but you want to share your kind of what you do again with us, and then
Yeah.
any challenges you're finding now that you're
Okay.
here in Dallas. Yeah.
All right. So I know Randy. I've never met you, Scott. So I'll give you a briefing. My name is Renate, and you rhyme it with petite. I started my business. I reinvented myself 9 years ago. Seize the Space. It's a professional organizing service. I love services, not products. And so I go into people's homes. Base the thrust of it is organizing, decluttering, downsizing. Then the other aspects are packing, unpacking within the moves. And I lived in Los Angeles. I'm not an Angelino by living. I grew up in Montreal. So I moved there. I lived 38 years in LA. Finally, after everything that's been going on, I said I had it. I From 2018, I decided where I was going to move, and I finally did it. But I was going to do it in 2020. COVID hit. I came here in this past March. So it's reinventing myself with the reinvention, so to speak. I developed my base there, my resources, my outsourcing. I have to do the whole thing all over. So this is the big challenge. And I connected with a couple of people. And the first thing I did hit running was find networking groups. That was the big thing. I did many over there. And I established myself through there with my power partners that are realtors, senior caregiving companies, or senior services, because those are the big now, the older baby boomers are happening to go to assisted living, smaller places. So I enjoy looking at a space and trying to figure out what their needs are and what they want to accomplish to free up that clutter. That's then my right now, because of COVID, but it's a lot easier here than it is in California.
Mhm.
And much easier here. So I've developed and networked with people, real estate agents. David's group was one of the first ones I met with and got involved with, and I enjoy it. So I like a lot to be right in the heart of something that I can rearrange, especially when I can Tetris a box and pack it up properly. But
So
my my challenge is trying to build everything up all over again. That's the key.
yeah, and that's actually it may seem like what we're going to talk about today might be overkill, but I don't think so. And I really don't think it's. I think one of the messages that I'm really trying to get people to get their heads around is the fact that getting your message out beyond North Dallas or Dallas Fort Worth, even if you're never going to service somebody who's geographically necessarily located, um, there's so many people coming into this market like you that from other places, that building the relationship or them having access to this market ahead of them making the move to Dallas, or maybe somebody they know making the
Well,
move to Dallas,
I
which to me
belong
is a yeah, to me is a prime target for you, right? People
right. I belong
moving.
to about private Facebook groups. Californians moved to Texas, Life After California,
Right.
or other groups that claim. So when I find anybody from California, I give them resources there and tell them I can unpack and organize them when they come here.
Right.
I've managed to. I have a lady in San Diego that's moving here with her dog, and she's got to get it going. She's a nurse, so I'm helping her from remotely here to get her here, and then she'll hire me when she needs me. So
Sure.
I'm building up relationships with remote people moving in here eventually.
Yeah, and that's awesome. Scott, any thoughts from your? I mean, I want to take advantage of your thinking, because you're one of my mentors in terms of just helping me think through things, expanding my own mind and things. What's your thoughts? Just thinking about Ronit, and we do have Zip he's incognito, but he's here. He's on the he can come on the stage whenever he's ready because he's muted and has got his video off, but he's here. Just FYI, in case you can't see that. But Scott,
Yeah, I would, I think the fact that you're still reaching out to those in California, I think that that's a fabulous thing. I mean, Dallas at one time, I don't know what the number is today, but was getting 8,000 people a day from California to Dallas. I mean, not just Texas to Dallas. It was crazy numbers. And so I think there's still great reach there. I think the other side is obviously being able to expand your local reach a variety of ways. Our PN is great. The networking groups around here are great. But I think the other side of it is you probably have some expertise, at least as you're talking about it, I know other other planners, other organizational folks, but not here, not in Dallas. I mean, I know them I think every one of them I know lives in California. So I'm very serious. I just was trying to think that through.
They need a lot of organization out there, Scott.
We will not go there. But, but the fact is that I think it's something very well needed here, and especially with people coming. So I think, it's business will never be done the same way it was done prior to the pandemic. And whether you like it or not, either podcasts or video TV shows or, some kind of way to communicate your message is really become very important because people are so accustomed to it. Now, as soon as I say something like that, somebody's going to say, but I'm burned out by being on Zoom all day.
Right.
Well, then get over it, because that's the way business is being done today. And that's going to be the process because it's the quote unquote new process. Zoom went from 10 million users in December of 2019 to 500 million users in May of 20. Just think that through.
Think what it is today.
That a 500 million people.
Wow.
So the reality is that whether you like it or not, it's the process. But the other thing, I would think that you would have a tremendous advantage because 85% of people are visual learners. And I think one of the things that just occurs to me is that organizational folks have been telling people how they could organize their space or how they could remove clutter, they could do that. But it would be far more effective to show before and afters.
That's what I've been doing. I have it. Yeah.
Good.
My website's done it and all that. There are times where I forget, oh, I should have had I forgot to do that.
Well, but again, even in this kind of setting, when we're in, is being able, because this medium becomes so easy to pop up a slide for a second and show a before and after. And then what that would allow you to do from a presentation side is, here's what they had, here's what we got to, but then take that even through an extension of, this is how this change, this improvement has benefited them, is really the life story after the fact, and being able to translate that. And this is a medium that would allow you to do that much easier, much faster than having to be in front of people. I mean, having to be sitting across from somebody, so you can get more word out faster and broader, and you'd also be able to memorialize it. So take a recording like this and be able to send it on. I did a training yesterday for a group, and the group, it was almost stream of consciousness kind of training. I mean, it turned into that. The host asked me a question, and I went off with an answer. And when we got to the conclusion of that answer, he'd ask the next one. And the response from the audience was so positive that I said, I'd like to have a copy of this, because quite frankly, I want to go back and hear what I said,
Right.
because the response was so great. So again, I don't share that because this is about me. I share this because it's something that you could do when you have these positive before and after, and here's how it improved their life. That's a silent seller. You personally don't have to say it over and over again. Let the video say it over and over again.
I was approached by an administrator of a Facebook group called Leaving California. And there's a lot of people there, different affiliates, different services. One professional organizer was supposed to be interviewed and give tips on what to do when you move and box things up and all that. That person disappeared. She reached out to me and I did. So in December, coming up around the corner, that video is going to be in that group. So it's going to be nice.
Oh, cool.
Right there.
Yeah,
There
that's kind of the point, is what, and David and I have had this talk before, but I do my show 5 days a week. And people say, why do you do 5 shows a week? Well, number one, because I can, because I've chosen to. But what it's done is it's opened up. First of all, I have a guest on my show, and we really talk about them, their business, their needs, or what they're accomplishing. And what it has done, the proof or the value of doing it, is it has opened up so much business. It's crazy. I mean, it's
Where
phenomenal.
do you do your shows? Is it on radio?
On the BeeKonnected platform.
It's on the BeeKonnected platform where I do them.
Okay.
One of the reasons I can do 5 shows a week is because once I become a member, I have that ability to do that, and it never costs me a penny to accomplish that task. And so then I literally, like David said, he takes this and puts it in different places. Within 15 minutes of my show being done, the video is distributed to 5 different video networks. The audio is distributed to 15 to 18 audio networks.
Wow.
And we're actually working on a program right now to get it distributed to 100 networks, literally in that same period of time. Again, it gets memorialized, right? So the point is that all of these things, if you took any of, and I'm not saying you have to do 5 days a week, just do one really good one and memorialize that through the various areas. Again, you can go to the podcast networks. The other, I mean, podcast listenership, or the way people are consuming information today, is video or podcast as they're in their car or whatever. So, I mean, my stuff gets out to iTunes and to iHeartRadio and, blah, 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 blah. And I don't even think about it, but it's amazing. Every once in a while you get that call that says, hey, I was listening to you and I heard this and I realized I needed to reach out to you.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, it's actually, number one, you're still way ahead of me on doing it every day. Although doing it once a week, and then actually now twice a week, because this is technically a show. So it's Friday and Thursday. I've considered the Wednesday, but the Wednesday is straight networking, and I don't know how interesting that would be. So that's a little different, but I'm going to bring in, let's see, I got another attendee, Lloyd. Lloyd will be, he's a regular masterminder here. So I'm going to promote Lloyd. But the key to here, and Scott hit, the interesting thing is, and I'm glad we're having this conversation, because this is actually, applying the concept to of having a show and helping us expand our thinking around what that looks like. And even people who have an audience, one of the things that you may have, went over your head if you haven't tried to do a show or do a podcast or do anything like that, is the concept of being able to do it and not have to rent studio time, being able to use a tool that you've already paid for and that you already understand because you're on this Zoom. Again, we don't promote Zoom, but we even have a special deal on the platform where you can get the tool for cheaper than the cheapest way you can get it from, not even talking about the full enterprise capability that we have with our option for the BeeKonnected platform, right? That we get as members, even free members, right? So the fact that if you're a free member, you get that discount. And so, but just having that there, so that excuse isn't there. That, I want to be on a show, or I want to do a show, or I want to have a podcast. That barrier has gone away, and that's one of the things that we kind of blow by, but it is on the list of excuses from the people I've talked to about why they're not doing a podcast or why they're not even on a podcast. But you guys, because you're now comfortable with this Zoom fatigue that you're experiencing, as long as you've got a decent audio and video presence that you can manifest on the Zoom platform, you can do a show tomorrow. Scott, myself, there's a number of people now. I just got to meet 90 of them, Scott, on Saturday.
Yeah.
That already did at least a 10-minute show on that summit. And that, by the way, all those recordings, including my 10 minutes and the little opportunity I had to co-host, which I love to do now, it's already on the BeeKonnected platform. Even if you weren't there, if you've got the free membership, you can see that whole summit is up there in the replay, right?
Well, and the other side of that is the 85 speakers have a legitimate opportunity to now say, I was on a summit with Marie Diamond, the featured female teacher from the movie The Secret, Laura Langemeyer, a multi-million dollar producer in real estate and a variety of other things, Richard Paul Evans, 42 New York Times bestsellers, 35 million books sold. 35 million books sold.
Incredible.
Bill Walsh, a business builder and entrepreneur builder from that side. Forbes Riley, $3 billion in infomercial sales. So the reality is that this medium allows for things to happen differently to then elevate your credibility to with legitimacy. There's a lot of people who say a lot of stuff, unfortunately, but sometimes it's nice that it's actually real. It's integrous and goes along with it. So those are the kinds of things that are happening. And BeeKonnected, we're going to do another one December 11th, and we've already got some amazing keynotes lined up and other speakers lined up, and we're still looking for some. But the point is, it adds a business, again, will never return to being done the way it used to be done. It just will not. There's too much technology available now. There's too many opportunities available now. Like I said, I was able to hold a training yesterday with an organization. Nobody got on an airplane. Nobody missed a half a day flying there. a half a day coming back, the efficiencies are phenomenal.
Yeah.
So even masterminding is changed from the standpoint of, if you take away the downtime of travel, and I'll never forget when I moved here from Chicago, everybody said, "Oh, you'll hate Dallas traffic." I came from Chicago, for God's sake.
Yeah.
I came from California,
right.
Los Angeles, 405.
Right.
My God.
And that's where I was going, right?
Yeah.
The Californians that are now here in Dallas are like,
What traffic?
what traffic? What? I mean, funny. I asked the realtor when I was looking at homes, I said, our offices are going to be at the north end of DFW airport. Get me anywhere. My commute in Chicago was a minimum of 45 minutes. I said, let's look at any houses within 30 minutes of the airport. And I mean, one day I said, what are we doing just about in freaking Oklahoma, for God's sakes? And they said, well, you said 30 minutes. I said, well, that's okay. I don't have to be far away. Just, it's like, it was just a thought. You could have informed me that this stuff is a little quicker, right? So again.
When did you move here, Scott?
Oh, 88, January of 88.
Now you'd have to be 15 minutes north of the airport to get that 30-minute drive.
I know it's exactly so. Well, but I mean, from Las Colinas, from the airport, McKinney hardly even existed, but McKinney was an hour and 15 minutes. Today it's 23. I mean, that's pretty crazy if you think about it. So
yeah, that's the 121. If it's
so
not
just
backed up.
Yeah. So
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, just as infrastructure was put around and so many other things are available. That's what video conferencing and what we're doing here and taking some of your process like this. It's the efficiencies you gain, right? And it's not necessarily going, oh, I gained all these hours, so I'm going to work more hours. I kind of split them. I take half of what I've gained and then another half with family or wherever. So it's amazing how the change in technology can improve your quality of life.
Yeah. And so one of the things, Zip, since you came on camera, I figured you're probably driving or whatever. I don't know if you're driving.
Oh, his office actually looks like the inside of a car.
Hey, buddy, what isn't anything? I think we all know you're into CBD and some cryptocurrency and packaging, and I'm going through my mental list of things that I know you're engaged. Weight loss, which is still part of your CBG
right
underbelly, but no pun intended. But my question is there any particular challenge that you're wrestling with or goal that you're particularly wanting or to relate? As I said before, maybe before you got on, we're really kind of focusing on getting our message out, expanding our audience. Obviously, Scott's here with his all of his skills in terms of speaking to audiences from the stage, now speaking to audiences through the BeeKonnected platform and so on. And as a servant leader, I love having his input into this because that's kind of the culture of this group. Anything that you'd like to make sure we focus on or answer in this conversation?
No, I mean, people don't like Zoom, but that's like Scott said, that's the way it is. And I like it. I mean, the windshield time to do networking or have a meeting or something like that. And besides a conference call, if you can get 2 or 3 people, to get other people from around the country and do a Zoom call so you get to see people. I think that's the way to go. I needed to figure out how to do like the podcasting. I didn't know BeeKonnected, I could do that. There might be some other people to bring on board with that. But
yeah, that's actually, it's not necessarily Be Connected, but as I was talking on Wednesday, I don't know if you, I don't think you were on the Wednesday in the meeting,
No,
but Aaron Mitchell joined and was my podcast guest on yesterday after the meeting on Wednesday because if you're a podcaster, if you have a show already, and it's not just a stream of consciousness from you, like Scott, like myself, we are basically our podcasts, I believe, and maybe I don't want to speak for your podcast, Scott, but I've listened to enough of them and learned enough from them that you're serving the community that you're part of, whether it's Be Connected or your network, which goes well beyond Be Connected. Right. It's the same as mine. And so I'm always looking for an opportunity to serve Zip, Lloyd, Don, Ronit, Randy, Scott. And you've been a guest on my podcast even before it was live in the Hive. In fact, I think when you were the first time you were the guest on my podcast, we were right in the middle of the zombie apocalypse. And you introduced me to Be Connected right after you were my guest. And to me, that's been a game changer for me in terms of having the impact that I want to have. But yeah, Zip, I mean, some of the things, I know we've had conversations around the benefits of CBD, the benefits of the opportunity potentially for cryptocurrency. There could be a number of topics that you could have a conversation, even if it's not your show. You can learn to have the conversation being a guest. And then when you're, it's on the path to that, because it's a journey, right? On the path to that, then you could have your own show at some point focused in on the things that you're inspired by, right?
Let me give you just a thought about all this. We all have our products, goods, or services that we represent and we go out and sell. And so we do everything we can to prospect and to open people up to the possibilities and all those different things. Well, here's what, as an example, having either a TV show / podcast, whether you do it video or you do it audio or a combination of both. Here's the thing that I have found. I mean, this is just personal experience. It's exactly why I do the show 5 days a week. Is I have yet to have a single person, not one, and I talk to a lot of people. There's not a single person when I say, hey, would you like to be on my show? Not one has said no. Not one. And so what happens with that is when you come in my show in particular is designed to talk about the guests offering their passion, why they're doing what they're doing. And so here's the other side of that. Number one, there isn't anybody who said no. I mean, I've had Jack Canfield, Mark Victor Hansen, Tom Ziegler, the list of the names, and then the list of all the people that you've never heard of before, who all have. But the point is that number one, you immediately gain access to people who, if you would have said to them, hey, can we sit down for a meeting? Or can we have a one-on-one? Or I'd love to learn more about your business. They all say, yeah, no, you're just trying to sell me something. But as soon as you say, would you like to be on my show? Really? Yeah, I'd love to be on your show. Great. Well, let's talk about you and your passion. Oh my God. I literally have a manufacturer out in Salt Lake City that keeps on calling me. He said, can we do more shows? Can we do more? Would you just, and what we've done now is done he'll send me a list of questions and we're just sound biting it for him. And he's now taking those and put them on their website. Now, not just him on the website. Guess who else gets there? Me. And so the point is, when you put it in a place of service like this, the other thing it does is it memorializes. So once again, you have this credibility, you have this ability to it's not a sales presentation. Hell yes, it's a sales presentation, but that's not the way it feels. That's not the way it's accepted in the marketplace. Here, let me share another reason. There was a couple weeks ago, I asked my Tuesday guest, man, I know it's been tough during the pandemic. What's your greatest challenge you've been facing? Pretty legitimate question, right? And they laid out their greatest challenge. My Thursday guest, I said, man, you guys are just rocking it in the pandemic. What solution are you providing that's making your business explode? And he answers it. Well, guess what the answer was? The answer was the answer to Tuesday's challenge. And so I called them both and I said, hey, I think I've got somebody you need to know. Would you like to know? Absolutely. I put them together. They're working on a 7-digit deal right now. But here's the next part of that. They both said, hey, thank you so much for the introduction. We're working on this deal. Would it be okay if we write you into it? What do you think the answer to that is?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hell
it's
yes.
tough sell, right?
That's the point. It's so what these people said again, because I talk to a lot of people about should I do my own show and whatever. Oh, I don't want to do a show. Oh, I've got no reason to do a show. I just gave you 5 reasons to do a show. What if nobody sees it? Well, what if the one does? Because all it takes is one person.
That's right.
It only takes one interaction. Then that's like saying, well, I don't know if I'm going to go to a networking event because I don't know if the person's going to be there. More than likely, they're not. That, quite frankly, this is something that, again, you can memorialize and you can put out there and done appropriately. So I'll give you an example. A friend of mine, actually a BeeKonnected member, said, hey, I got somebody you need to meet and have on your show. And I said, okay, who's that? He goes, Doug Plank. I said, the war number 46 for the Bears, the 46 defense is named after him. That Doug Plank? And he goes, yeah, here's his phone number. He'd like to be on your show. Okay.
Sure.
So again, do you understand? It's not because sometimes people sit there and say, well, how many people are watching? I don't care. How many people see it? I don't know. Where's it? Can't tell you.
Only takes one.
It only takes one. I mean, I'm in the middle of, again, these are true. I'll share another true story. I interviewed a friend of mine who has a new process based here in Dallas. And I interviewed him and I said, let's lift up you and your process. People need to know about this. Okay. I get a call from a guy about 2 weeks ago. He says, hey, I watched the show I did with our mutual friend. You and I have never met. But he said, I could feel your concern for lifting him up and what he was doing. And if you were willing to do that for him, I knew I needed to meet you. I said, awesome. Let's have a conversation. He said, I've got a project where I'm raising money for nonprofits. How about if we put in the head of the nonprofits come on your show so we can talk about that cause, so we can intensify the fundraising we're working to do. I said, done. He said, that's it? I said, absolutely. He said, well, I've got other projects that I could use some help with. Are you interested? I said, well, as a matter of fact, I am. He said, now let me ask you one more question. He said, do you have anybody that you know that's looking to raise money for their business? I said, as a matter of fact, I've got 2 different projects that I know people would love to raise money. He goes, well, I happen to have a tie-in to 4 billionaires looking to place money. How about if we put some things together? Okay. Again, I'm not sharing this to do anything other than share the news.
Well, you've done something, Scott, really very important, and it really is in the context of masterminding. And that is that you're expanding our thought process. And that's one of the reasons why we bring in speakers that have the kinds of experiences that you have, is because the things even that you're sharing, I haven't had the direct opportunity to experience, but just listening to you talk, just listening to some of the things, you've increased my belief or thought process about possibilities that I hadn't even considered, and or just my awareness, because again, we all kind of, we look for, you know, the things we understand. Let me do this. I'm gonna, Lloyd, you joined us, and Don and Randy, you guys have checked in before on the mastermind, but the topic here that we're really talking about is podcasting, live streaming, having your own, when we talk about shows or whatever, getting your message out to a broader audience and the value of that to your specific business, and how questions and or challenges you have with that. Lloyd, do you have anything that you'd like to share? Lloyd, I think most people here know Lloyd, but you can go ahead and do a quick little synopsis.
Yeah, yeah, I'm not going to go there. But so I'm actually going to be on a podcast today at 4 o'clock. Stuart Sachs, he's got a thing, people you should know or something like that. I don't remember. But I'm going to be on that one. And then there's Susan Hamilton that's got podcasts. I think Rick Rawson does podcasts. I know, David, you do them. So I'm going to try to be on all of those that I know. Scott, I'll be on yours as well. I don't know anything about being on a podcast. I understand you do it on Zoom these days. So, you know, I'm here. I'll be here at 4 o'clock doing this thing with Stuart Sachs, and we'll see what happens. And so that's, you know, I'm taking my first baby steps there. So I'm thinking about doing a podcast myself, but, you know, I think that's a little way down the road. And then the other thing is I wanted to hook up with you, David, to take advantage of that free enterprise Zoom thingy, whatever it's called. I can't get Vic to give me a call back, so I need somebody to help me.
I'll talk. Yeah, just reach out to me. I'll share a link, and we can have a one-to-one. But it's pretty straightforward. But let me get you hooked up with that. And
I'm very apprehensive about being on this.
Okay.
So I'm very apprehensive.
Can I do a podcast in minutes?
Zip, can you hang on just a second? You're stepping on Lloyd, so let me come back to you, and then I'll answer your question.
So I'm just apprehensive about being on the podcast. It's something new, you know, but we'll see how it goes.
Well, let me applaud you.
Yeah.
Let me applaud you, Lloyd, because if you're not uncomfortable or apprehensive or however you want to describe it, then you're probably not growing, and you're just sitting there, you know, so you know how I feel about that. And the fact that you are, and the fact you're willing to move forward in spite of that, to me, is something worthy of applause. And I know it will, I have 100% confidence that it will serve you well, regardless of the quality. My first episode of Warrior versus Zombie with me and Ricky Jean was terrible. I mean, when I go back and listen to it now, you know, now doing episode 51, I'm pre-recording next week's because it's on Thursday, so I'm not going to do it on Thanksgiving. But yeah, it's going to be great. I'm ready to do you know, the only thing I would ask for anybody is pay attention to your Zoom audio and video. Your content will be you. And I think for most of these, your content you already know. That's the part you don't have to worry about. The technical part of it is just making sure that you've got your tech set up, if you will, to where that doesn't become an impediment to getting your message out, if that makes sense. So anyway, but let me go over to Don Sprague, because he joined us as well. Randy, you're as a co-host, you're always welcome to pop in. You know that. So feel free. But Don, you know the drill. You want to share anything or ask anything?
Yeah, and I'm a commercial realtor for small businesses, and one of the things that I know in the old days when I was back doing residential back in their own radio show, and everybody gets out there and gets to this wide audience. And since the pandemic, of course, Zoom and the refined audience or the targeted audience is the way to go. But I haven't done any of these yet, but I would be love to do one just to get some experience. I think more than anything, and also sort of have a unique set of a unique approach, I guess, for the small business owners who don't know much about what the agreements that they've entered into and their lease agreements and things like that. And that's sort of what I focus on with them. But I've been focusing on networking, and came to Dave's networking event for many years and others. And that's been my source of clients, but that needs to expand. I'm trying to restart my business after about 2 or 3 years of not doing anything in it, but for a lot of reasons. But so networking has been my focus, but I'd like to expand that beyond the networking sphere. And I'm not into mailings and not into that kind of thing.
That's not networking.
That doesn't work anyway. So.
Well, actually, Don, I'm going to encourage you when we get this replay up to go back and listen to the conversation we had with Ronit when she first came on, and we were talking about her organizing business and her target market and some of the benefits of getting a show, getting on shows, getting that kind of thing, and the influx of people coming. And I think in commercial real estate, it's a little different, maybe ideal client or whatever, but it's still same dynamic I think that we're in here in Dallas Fort Worth. With businesses wanting access to this market, moving into this market, all those things that we talked about. So I encourage you to go back. We won't retread that, but Scott had some great insights there. Randy had some insights there for Ronit. And I'm not sure mine was that great, but I had a few. But anyway, so that's great. Zip, I see you went off camera, and Mike, but if you want to come back on, I'm sorry, your quality wasn't that great, and I think you got that fixed. So if you want to come back in, just feel free to do that. Randy, did you go ahead?
Yeah, just a couple of things. For those of you who remember that, I don't know if you can read it.
Pull it back a little bit.
Yeah.
Pull it back. Oh, there you go.
There you go.
That sucks. What now? Remember that? That was Scott's book that I purchased after he gave us a great talk at one of our networking meetings. And what Scott talked about and all the examples that he gave a little bit ago, I think what he was really talking about is true networking, taking advantage of technology, leveraging the technology. You don't have to know me. I don't have to know all those people that he mentioned, but by touching people like Scott and other people and getting involved and offering something and helping them and being on a show that, yeah, maybe a million people don't see Scott's show every day, the 5-day show, but it only takes one right person to say, oh, wow, Lloyd, man, he's got 20 products and he just got this, and maybe he needs help in figuring out a good way to sell, distribute, etc. So to me, that's what networking is about. And we tend to, again, many of us, older guys, still remember when networking was going to a cafeteria in an office building someplace for a networking meeting, and you came out with these stack of business cards, and hi, my name is Randy Sablik. I'm an XYZ person. If you know anybody, here's a couple business cards. And you all probably have great stories of the inefficacy of that phase in our networking and sales and business lives. So, we can be skeptical, which is normal, about this kind of stuff, but to be skeptical and not try it is being a fool. And sorry for the harsh language, but it's being foolish. All right. It's free. David has set up all kinds of opportunities for us this session, the Wednesday session, Friday session, all of these kinds of things. They're just great opportunities for those of us, not me, because I'm really not in the business anymore, other than helping people, just doing what I can to help people. And, to me, helping people is speaking my mind when maybe people aren't getting the message that there's a huge opportunity in front of us, all of us, for growing our business with very little effort, very little cost, but huge opportunity. I'll stop there.
Randy, let me correct you, first of all, before
Sure.
I start. I'll applaud what you said, but I'm going to correct you in that it does serve you, because you are on kind of a similar journey to me of impact.
Yes.
And so getting your message out, doing what you're doing here on this show, doing what you do on a regular basis, regardless of whether you monetize it directly or not, is, in my point of view, fulfilling your life purpose.
I would agree with that.
And I think you are having an impact. And what you said there was brilliant. It actually connects a lot of the dots with what Scott's saying, because his stories really show you some of the things he just shared with us.
The power.
Yeah, the fact that it's not necessarily the first person that heard. I do the Live in the Hive every Thursday with the BeeKonnected, and I have sometimes people ping in and watch the show, in the audience. Sometimes not. Sometimes it's just us, two people talking on Zoom, which is probably the preponderance of the case, and what was happening before it was Live in the Hive. The amazing thing to me is my audience doubled when I went live, and it wasn't because there was twice the people on live. It was that the people that were on, and then the tail, if you will, the fact that Scott mentioned it, we didn't really focus on it, is these things don't have a shelf life. You can embed the show, you can embed your interview on your website. You can post it once every month or something on your social sites and just say, hey, this is, and every time somebody does that, I see an uptick, not only in their podcast, but every podcast that I've done, or at least some of those, because they'll look and go, oh man, Scott Schilling, I know him, I want to hear his. And all of a sudden I get somebody that downloads or listens to Scott Schilling's show that he did last year in 2020.
Mm-hmm.
So I can look at that and see. So it's an investment. You remember, I always say what we're doing here, we shouldn't be spending our time. But we should be investing our time.
Right.
Because our time is our most valuable asset. So if we're going to invest it, we should invest it. And having a show, being on a show, putting yourself out there, being uncomfortable, like Lloyd said, right, is making that investment in a wise way with no guarantees, just like they say when you're investing your finances in crypto coins, Zip or whatever, there's no guarantees, past performance, there's no guarantees of future. But that being said, what better way to do it is to get your message out there and have it, be evergreen, if you will. Right? Scott, you want to weigh in on that a little bit?
I mean, David, that's exactly right. The reality, it's funny because I've had people say, well, I don't like the way I look. It's how you look. It's how you look. I don't like the way you sound. I don't like the way I sound. It's the way you sound. I mean, it just is what it is, from that side. And when you just take what I love especially, Don, you said, you share things with your clients that most people don't share, or you've got some little intricacies that most small businesses don't. That's the perfect time to
Right.
have something that you can present and memorialize, because there's a lot of times where I'll say, and especially if I'm in a live situation where I'm on stage to a significant audience, is I'll say, by a show of hands, how many of you don't know what you don't know? Is it fair to say that somebody might know what you don't know? Is it even possible that I might know what you don't know?
Right.
So I want you to suspend disbelief for a few moments and hear, so that we can address some things that are really
Right.
important. So now you can set up your, you can set up your differences. You can set up your unique selling propositions. You can set up the reason why they should do business with you over somebody else in such a unique way, and then memorialize that. Now
Right.
it's recorded. And the thing about the shows, and the reason I do the shows the way I do, I've been the face of 8 infomercials. I've sold millions and millions of dollars from stage. I share that only, and all with that and a quarter, I got a quarter. Nobody knows who the hell I am compared to what I've accomplished,
Right.
because the task was always to represent the product or the thing. And so it's the same kind of thing. What I've learned in my innate skill set is that of a third party endorser. You telling me you're awesome, I believe you. Could be arrogant, could be egotistical, right? I say, hey, Don, you know what you're doing for small business, building commercial real estate is absolutely awesome. Share a little bit of your genius. And now you say the exact same things that you would have said. Now it's informational.
Right.
That's the difference. This is positioning, right? Where everybody tries to, not everybody, over dramatic. So many come out and want to show up and throw up, right? I want to give you everything that I do. Oh, I'm so much better than anybody else. Oh, my product's so much, da, 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 da. The reality is, if it's done with, what makes your organization so special, Don? Well, I've asked you that question, so you've got to answer why you're special. What makes you so unique? I've asked you that question. You've got to do that. So again, what this medium does is it allows people to truthfully share their genius in a way that it's accepted as information and fact rather than ego and arrogance.
Right. And the added advantage, in my opinion, is that it's now memorialized,
Right.
and this stuff has a long shelf life, as opposed to just a little ad you put on your website or your Facebook page. People are they're gonna Google a subject, and there's a high probability that you'll come up, or Lloyd will come up because he's done a podcast, okay, with exactly those words in it. The search engine is amazing.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I was very blessed. I had Les Brown on my show, then Les Brown had me on his show. And in both cases, I was sold on me. Les did a hell of a job.
Yeah.
Oh
No,
my
that's great.
God. He said some of the nicest things about me that anybody has ever said in my life. Well, I've got those sound bites forever.
Right. That's right.
So the point is that when we take and we think about positioning, and we think about how we, positioning in its proper positioning. I mean, I want everybody in the planet to be part of BeeKonnected. Is that going to happen? No. But I'd love for them to do it. Why? So that they can benefit.
Right.
Right. I would love for people to want my training and want my whatever. Is everybody going to do it? No. But the point is, over time, when it's always about building trust in the consumer. It's 100% of the time it's about trust.
Right.
But you got to get know, like and trust. You
Ooh.
got to get the know. They've got to know you
Right.
ahead of the liking you, and the know and the like have to become ahead of the trust.
Right.
And they have to trust you to want what you have.
Right.
And that comes through repetition.
Exactly.
And in today's immediate this is the challenge with millennials. They don't want to spend the time on the know and the like. They just want the result.
Right.
And it's not the way it works.
And they can't trust you if they haven't known and liked you.
Exactly. And so what they do is they'll gimmick it, or they'll jam it in, or they'll whatever, and they
Right.
may get a sale.
Yeah.
But they won't get a second sale.
Right.
There's no relationship there. And so what this medium allows for is to create the exposures over time, and I've adopted this. I say, hey, you know what? You've got to be comfortable. You've got to trust me fully. I encourage you, go to Scott Schilling Speaks. Look at any of my shows. Look at all of my shows. I've got 75 shows here with different people. Maybe you know some of those people. Pick out that show, watch that show, or just do something and feel what happens during the show. Notice what I said there. I purposely say that. I want you to feel what happens in the show. And if you can relate to that, I'd love to work with you. So the point is, I now have all this stuff where I can back off my presentation of me. I can point to somebody else's experience with me. And then I use that to help build the trust along the way.
Right.
But it's all about trust. And that's what Stephen M.R. Covey's book, The Speed of Trust, nails it. Everything is about trust. And that's why the world is the way it is today.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because there's this side that doesn't trust that side. And that side doesn't trust this side.
Sad.
So there's no trust. And I mean, we're seeing it play out, and then and see the people who are dividing us get this. So what are they working to do? They shoot at your belief, your trust in the other side.
Right.
And when they destroy that, they destroy the other side. So,
Right.
Yeah, and without getting into that particular thing, I'm gonna quote somebody that's famous that I know, and at least he's the one that stuck it in my brain. But he's an expert sales coach, and he said to me one time in a setting, I think it was in one of the Business Growth Network meetings, but he said, "Everybody likes to buy, nobody likes to be sold." And if you really understand the process, I think it was Scott. That's who I actually, when I say somebody famous, I at least Scott was the one that put that one in my brain. I think the importance here is that fundamental, in that we're giving people information to know why we're doing what we're doing when we have these conversations in a live stream environment. We're giving them information, at least on my show, and I think on Scott's show as well, why we're doing it, the unique value that we see that we've been able to accomplish or that we're experiencing in the marketplace. And then we talk about where we're going. And the thing is, when somebody watches the show and they hear that, and they hear it more than one time, that's when they say, I know guys like that. He's my people. I mean, my episode 51 today is Chris Salem. Remember, Chris Salem volunteered he's going to be on this group, this mastermind in December. And that was why he reached out to me to be in the mastermind. Somebody introduced him to me through the connection. I said, great, we've got it on this calendar. And he said, oh, by the way, I've got a gap for a show. Would you like to be, after we had a conversation, said, would you like to be a guest on my show? I said, sure. And kind of like Scott's experience, I listened to my interview with him and thought, that's better than anything I could ever say. And it was very clear. And I've had people reach out to me. I posted it in our Facebook group, and I said, I listened to it and I said, that explains why, what I'm looking for and what I mean when I say it, building your dream network, building your community, why I do what I do better than anything that I've been able to explain. And it was just a conversation with him that we recorded. And like I said, there's brilliance that we've gotten from each person that participated in this group today, of challenges, and this stuff doesn't go away. So we've got it. We've got it. So I just think I think it's just a brilliant thing. Any other things that occur to anybody? It's 12. We got time. We're still going.
I just have a question. I'm a technology guy, but from way back. And what's the next platform or technology that you see coming down the pike that we should prepare ourselves for? Scott?
Well, I'm somewhat partial to BeeKonnected but I'll share why. Okay. We came at this from the concept that Richard Branson uses as an entrepreneur. Identify something in a crowded market. Look at the problems in that industry leader, fix those problems, provide solutions, re-enter that market.
Yeah.
So we created a disruptive social media platform that has, in essence, we have Clubhouse built into BeeKonnected. We have eHarmony built into BeeKonnected. We have a university, so we've got Udemy built into. We're an aggregator of what business people need to accomplish their task to grow their business and to monetize for them, not to monetize for the platform. So from that side, that's why we have what we have within BeeKonnected. But the reality, I don't know that you were here when I said it earlier, Don, but Zoom went from 10 million users in December of 2019 to 500 million in May of 20. Tells you two things: the scalability of this concept, and they were playing against, I forget WebEx and GoToMeeting, the ones that had been around, but also then Microsoft entered Teams. Horrible. It's a horrible platform. I'm sorry. I've only been on about 6 calls on Teams, and none of them ever go clearly. And this is Microsoft, for goodness sakes. You can't make a better. The point is, Zoom has so usurped. So when you take, and that's why we built Zoom into our broadcast network at BeeKonnected, because it's the best provider.
But Zoom also came fortuitously at exactly the right time. They couldn't have planned it any better.
Totally. So again, our platform allows you to monetize, actually make money for bringing people to the platform. Well, isn't that what your business is all about? Monetizing. Now, if you make too much money, can't you give it away or do some good with it?
Right.
The whole thing. So again, that's why we listened to our members, and we kept on expanding until we got to the point where we are, which is connections, benefits, education, and now the broadcast network. We're in that place so that we can help people do what they're working to do, which is to grow their business.
Right.
It's a tool to grow your business that monetizes and helps you do that. And so again, I think out of it, because, and many people, I'm going to mention some names and you go, who the hell's that? Web Talk, MeWe, Alignable, Parlor, right? Those are all platforms that are out there today, and they're looking to be alternative, but now that being said, Alignable's got 5 or 6 million users. It's, in the United States and Canada. Well, we're in 94 countries in less than a year. They're in two, right? So, that's why quite frankly, why I work. The reason I have 5 shows a week, because I can. Doesn't cost me a penny more to have 5 shows as it does 1 show. Well, if I can get 5 times the reach and 5 times the information, wouldn't that make sense? Right? When I was doing a studio show, the studio itself was $500, which for that studio was cheap. And then another $500, $250 to $500 to process the show. It was $1,000 a show. You gotta really think about who you have on your show for $1,000 a show.
Yeah.
For free? Hey, come on, let's do it. I had an East Texas house mom who doesn't even have Wi-Fi in her home. She had to use the hotspot on her phone to do the show. She homeschools her 12-year-old daughter. She's in direct sales. She was making $500 a month. I said, come on my show. I want to tell your story. And she goes, nobody's interested in my story. I said, everybody's interested in your story. You're an East Texas mom who's homeschooling her daughter and using MLM to make the money you need. We did that show. She was now able to take that and put it on her social media presence and her different stuff. She almost doubled her income. She's got people who are going, wow, you mean if you can do this in East Texas, I can sure do it in Dallas, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The point is, Austin, she had the opportunity to raise her level, not an ego or anything like that, but simply in representation. And her business grew because of that. Well, that makes me feel great. She's a friend. Why wouldn't I want my friends to do better?
Mm-hmm.
So again, when you start to think through the potentials here, and again, by definition, a mastermind, Napoleon Hill, if you look at Think and Grow Rich, the definition of a mastermind is when 2 or more minds come together to create a third and greater mastermind.
Mm.
Mark Victor Hansen says 1 + 1 = 11, right? When we bring in more, we each have our sphere of influence, or we each have our breadth of knowledge. We can ask the exact same question of the 6 of us, and because of our difference in experiences, the 6 of us will give different answers more than likely, which is the third and greater mastermind. It's attacking the issue from different places. So again, I applaud David for doing this, because I've been part of a lot of masterminds and I love it from the standpoint of it's a free exchange of ideas to serve the questioner,
Yeah, I was privileged to be a part of a very high-tech group here in Dallas years ago that explored and actually implemented an open concept kind of I would say management style that grew us through a mastermind type of learning experience tremendously. And so, when I first got in real estate, we did it at Remax, few of us trying to figure out what we were doing wrong in the residential world, which I ultimately abandoned for a lot of reasons. But so, yeah, it works. And I've told David this several times, but it's the way to go. I have another question about BeeKonnected. Are they ever exploring the chat process, or maybe they do it now? I'm not that familiar with it, like Twitter and those kind of platforms.
Yeah, we actually have an internal instant messaging system, which is why we built the broadcast network off of that. We already had text chat, and we were sitting in a meeting one day. We were talking about how some of these other platforms were growing because they added audio or whatever, Clubhouse. And our IT guys go, we can do that. And 3 weeks later, we had it. And so the reality is that's the beauty of so we keep on talking about shows, you know, but think of it like this. Every time I do a show on BeeKonnected, a link is produced specific to that show. And it can be spread just internally to a private group, or it can be sent around the world, depending upon what you want. Okay. When you set up a group, like I have a group channel, every show I've done on BeeKonnected is archived. I can send you one link and you have access to 75 shows. So it's about, we've built systems. There's actually when that show link is created, there are buttons down below: Facebook, LinkedIn, email, Pinterest, WhatsApp, Twitter. I can touch a button and it posts it to my other social medias, literally one touch at a button.
Wow.
So we've done one touch promotion. We've done all these different things. Now, let me give you one more thing that's cool. So because it's my group and it's tied to me, when I send that out to the ethersphere, right? I send it out to all the different socials. Anybody who clicks on that now comes and has to have a BeeKonnected membership, but we gift them one free. When we gift that membership, it gets tied to me. And if at any time in the future that person decides to have a paid for membership, BeeKonnected will pay me for that person. That's what I'm talking about, the platform monetizing for me. How does this work? Let me give you an example. I did a show with a woman that was a moderate rank in her multi-level company, but she has a hell of a story. And so we promoted that she was going to be on my show. That day, 95 new accounts were opened up tied to me. If at any time in the future, those people monetize, it'll be worth somewhere between $30 and $90 to me for those 95 people that I've never met, that I didn't know before that event, which is why when you have a Richard Paul Evans who has sold 35 million books, who has databases approaching a billion. That's with the B, not the M word. One guy has got, and he's come to the platform and he's promoting to his folks. Same thing, come to the platform. And when they monetize, the amount of money that he could make, I mean, it's, if 10,000 people, as an example, 10,000 out of a billion come, his monthly residual would be 100,000 a month. Is it worth attracting 10,000 out of a billion? He thinks so. But guess what? I have that same opportunity. You have
Everybody
that same
does.
opportunity. David has that same opportunity.
Everybody does. And that's the thing is it's still, the thing is, some people say, well, there's not that many people that know about BeeKonnected. That's a great thing, because even though Scott mentions these big names and these people, what I've experienced, and I've been around now, not as long as Scott with this, but others, since, and some of you have been around with me for a while, it's still a very early adopter opportunity. So a lot of times we say, oh, I wish I'd have bought Bitcoin when it was a dollar, or I wish I'd have done this, or I wish I'd have done that. This is one of those things. And back to Don's question, this is a disruptive platform. And it's because it's designed to focus on the fundamental thing that's missing out of most of the other social platforms, which is it starts with a one-to-one connection. It starts with a referral. It starts with me saying, you're somebody that I want to bring in, and somebody that I think people should be connected to. And that's where it starts. It's not about me just throwing people into something free and then the platform monetizing the eyeballs that are coming to see me. And then yeah, there's tools and capabilities that are there and you can figure out how to do it, but they don't care about that because all they care about is you staying on the platform long enough that they can put advertisements in front of you, they can mine your data, they can do things with you, and if they don't decide they don't like what you're saying, they can shut you down. That's why all of the disruptive platforms, in my opinion, by the way, that we're seeing out there are coming into being is because the existing platforms, as many millions and billions of people that they have on them, are missing what we're trying to do here in our local networking, because we still do local networking face to face, because you can't get in between, LinkedIn, Facebook, somebody else can't get in between me and the folks in the room, right? Or me and the folks on my Zoom, at least at this point. So that's why this is so powerful, and that's why everybody ought to start the journey that Lloyd is starting, and Don is considering, and Zip is Zip's part of BeeKonnected. Other people, just start the path. It's a journey, right? Anything else, Scott? We're about four minutes away, and
David,
I just want to do a couple announcements at the end, and then we'll call it a mastermind.
You made a great point. We started out, there were no free memberships, and we did that purposely because we wanted a different level of member. If free sounds like me, we probably have a problem. When you've got to have some skin in the game. But we started without free. Then we morphed our strategies so that there's a reason to have free, to bring people in. But sometimes people sit there and say, well, but I can go on XYZ or this for free. You really can't. LinkedIn, what most people don't realize, this is a fact. Okay. This is their published material. 39.8% of everybody on LinkedIn pays them money monthly. 40%.
It's expensive.
Okay. And so when you sit there and our ambassador package is $299 one time and $49 a month. Refer 2 paid for members, the $49 goes away, and you are a lifetime member forever. Okay. That's it. It's pretty simple process. So the point is, there are, and people say, well, how many people are there? Well, we're probably about 7,000 now, but we're in 94 countries. Do you understand? It's going. Clubhouse went from 1,500 people to 10 million in 13 months. We're just about at that point. Now, we don't want 10 million, by the way. We really don't. We want the million, the 2 million that are sick and tired of being sick and tired over there. I was on a call with one of the sharks one day, and he said, I spent 2 hours a day building my followership on Clubhouse to 75,000 people. We said, how much did you make out of that? He said, nothing. It cost me 2 hours a day. We stopped doing it. We said, if you had 75,000 over here at BeeKonnected, 10% of them converted to paid for, that's 7,500. Your monthly residual would be 75,000 a month, plus somewhere between 30 and 90,000 at the beginning when they or when they came in. He said, that's $1 million. They said, that's why you're a shark. You can do math. That's what we have. The other guys don't. When 40% of people pay Microsoft, Bill Gates has yet to send me a check. Every month, I make an override somehow on BeeKonnected. So it's a difference in philosophy. BeeKonnected is helping me grow my business. The other ones are, you're helping them grow their business.
Right.
If that's okay with you, okay.
Well, let's give Scott some applause here. That was, and by the way, let me applaud each and every one of you guys for participating, because frankly, this has been a great conversation. It's not only going to be valuable to you, but people that watch if they choose to watch the replay and kind of get something, because it was very organic and very real. And again, the organic, the authenticity, the things that we were talking about, all of those things are reasons to do a podcast. And so if there's anything that I can do for any of you that are on this journey with BeeKonnected, or just, just trying to get started with getting your message out or whatever, I'm always here. And that's why I do it, is to have that impact and to help you with that.